Hi everyone, so today I wanted to share with you this layout. I'm doing a voiceover this time, so hopefully it will work out okay. So I'm just showing you some papers here from the Shimelle True Stories collection that I'll be using, and also some papers from Pink Paislee's Atlas collection. And I think these two go really well together. I've just got a few offcuts from another layout I did. And then I've just got a few bits and pieces of embellishment. So some of those little cut aparts there are from Shimelle's collection. And then I've just used some blue cardstock and some Amy Tan dies. There I've got some Amy Tan stickers as well, and some enamel dots in various yellow shades. So I'm just putting everything off to the side, and then I'll start with this blue and white polka dot paper. I've also grabbed myself two lots of thickers. I haven't decided which ones to use yet. So I'm going to start by adding some papers and making an L shape, so a little bit of a nest for my photos to go. I've got three 4x6 photos that are going on this layout, and this will make a double page spread. So they're very similar photos from the same event, and I've decided to do the 4x6 photos on one page, and then three smaller versions of that plus another additional photo on the opposite page, but I'll show you that opposite page on another video. So this paper here is from the Pink Paislee Atlas collection that I'm sticking down, and it's just tone on tone sort of pink chevrons. And then this grey paper with a white script is also from that same collection. And I just think that the blue and pink and grey go really well together. And so yeah, I'm just making a sort of an L shape where I'll be able to stick those photos down. So hopefully this will turn out all right today, and I'd love to hear your feedback on whether you prefer me to be doing the voiceovers and speeding up the videos, or whether you prefer just to listen to me scrap as I go along. So I've just set up that nice little place for the photos to go, and I'm just going to have a look at the photos now and see whereabouts on the layout they're going to go, just playing around with the placement of that. Deciding which photos in which order, and which photos will sort of go on top of each other there. And I'm pretty happy with how that is, but I decided I've got sort of an old branding strip that I've decided I'll add to that just to anchor it a little bit more as well. So I'm just popping that down, and I don't know what brand that is. I think it's from a Christmas collection actually, and just had a little sort of blue and white stripe there, and then it just gives it a little bit more to put those photos down onto. So I'm just adhering those photos down now. And you'll see the little embellishments that I've got on the screen there to the left. They've just been cut from gold foil and the dark blue cardstock, as well as some pink velvet hearts. And so just a variety of dies that I've used there. I've also got the word Imagine, which was a Heidi Swap script die, and at the moment I'm just playing around with how I'm going to embellish this page a little bit more. I quite like those pieces from the Shimelle collection that are cut apart, but I just figured that there's a lot of photos taking up space here, so it probably wasn't going to be able to fit those on. I also have these two little pieces from a collection from a long time ago. It was a cut apart sheet I had, so I couldn't tell you who did that collection, and I just had those few floating around on my desk and thought that the colours tied in really well, and so just sort of used those as a little bit of embellishment on the page. So I cut them in half and used half on the top and half on the bottom where I was going to embellish. These little photo frames are also from the Shimelle True Stories collection, and I'm just going to mount those onto foam squares just to give a little bit of dimension to those. And I just cut out the ones that really fit the colour scheme well. So the ones that had the grey, introduced a little bit of yellow there. And this paper that I'm looking at now, also from Shimelle's True Stories, I'm just going to use some of those stripy blocks to add a little bit more of the layering to the embellishment that I'm doing. So I think I'll pick a blue and a pink to add to the layers. I really like the True Stories collection. I think it fits well with Pink Paislee's Atlas. They've got very similar colours, and the Atlas is obviously a very theme-travelled set, but it does have a lot of really nice papers in there. And I originally purchased it because I was looking for Shimelle's True Stories and couldn't find it, and actually came across this one and thought, oh, similar colours, I quite like those as well, and then happened to find the Shimelle one a few weeks later, so decided to buy that one as well. So just cutting out those strips from that paper there. I don't know that I would use that paper as a whole background. It's just a little bit too busy for my style, but I think, you know, to cut those little pieces out does give a little bit more interest. We don't have a lot of options for stickers, and if they are in Australia, they're really expensive, so being able to have some 12 by 12 sheets that you can cut apart and use in that way can be really handy. Just playing around with a few of those photo frames there, but I think in the end I decided to just go with one at the top there, and just figuring out where I'm going to put all those extra layers of things at the moment. So as I said, I would really appreciate feedback on whether you prefer me to be doing the videos with the voiceovers. This is something new for me, so struggling a little bit to figure out, you know, the timing and all of that sort of stuff. I've sped it up to twice the speed of normal scrapbooking, but if you think it could be faster, you know, again, I'd really appreciate your feedback. So just mounting those little photo frames into where I want them to be. And with that one, because it was going behind the picture, I actually just used foam squares at the top and used double-sided tape, or the tape runner at the bottom, so it would sit flat at the bottom but just sort of lift off the page a little bit at the top. And the foam squares that I'm using are very flat ones, so not to give too much dimension. They're probably my favourites, just because they don't make things lift off the page too much, but just give a little bit of dimension. So I tend to use those the most. I'm just adhering things down now where I'm happy for them to be, adding those layers in. And yeah, I think that's the pink one, and then I'll add the blue one there as well. And try not to cover up anything that I've already placed down, because I do want to make sure that you know, you can see all of those different layers that I've included. Now this one is going right over the top of all of the layers, so I do add foam squares to all corners rather than like I did at the top where I just did it with half. And the same with the little light bulb photo frame on the bottom left there of the layout. I've added foam squares to all of those. Now I'm playing around with this word imagine. I really want to get it on the layout somewhere, but decide that it's not going to work well with this one. Also cut some arrows and decide that that's not going to work either. And then I'm starting to think about my title, and I think this word here, so it's a circle die with the word love, comes from an Amy Tan die set, and I think I end up deciding to use it as part of the title. So I decide to mount it on the gold foil, and then yeah, just adding it to the title. But it takes me a while to decide to get there. So then that's when I start thinking about the title. I decide that the yellow thickers, whilst the colour's good, they are glitter, and there's not really any other sort of glitter going on the page, and I'm already using the gold foil, so decide that the glitter's probably not the best option. And then I'm just starting to think about what I'm going to do for my title, thinking about the wording and that kind of thing. Then I decide I'll come back to the wording by the looks of it, and I start playing around with the final embellishments, so the love hearts that I've cut out. As I said, some were from gold foil, and then the others were from the felt, the light pink felt. Just playing around with, you know, how I'm going to make these embellishments work. And yeah, thinking about the title again, I think. So starting to think, okay, well, I need to get a title on here. What am I going to actually entitle this page? And then, yep, I must have come up with the title by that stage, so because that's the letter I start with, and just start placing those letters down. I think the pink stands out really well on the blue background, so I think in the end I made a good choice with that. And yeah, and just making sure I had all the letters that I needed. But it was a fairly unused set of thickers, so I was able to spell out most things without too much hassle. And then, yeah, just adding those letters in there. Generally don't put the dot on the I, but yeah, this time I obviously decided I would. I quite like the square style of these thickers, so I can't tell you which ones they were because I can't remember, but yeah, they are quite good. And like, I had a few different pink thickers to choose from, but I like the blocky style of that. We were actually at an event where my daughter was chipping away at some aerated cement that was in a block as well, so that's why I decided to go with that very sort of blocked style. And now I'm just starting to play around with where I'm going to put those love hearts. I definitely wanted to use the love hearts. I saw a layout a while ago that had some felt love hearts included with the gold, and I thought it was quite good, so it was kind of a little bit of an inspiration for this layout. Was, okay, I want to add some pink so I can include that on the layout itself. Just again playing around with the placement of those, and obviously decide that it's time to commit and get the glossy accents out to adhere those down. So with the foil, depending on where I was placing the gold hearts, I was using either dimensions or glossy accent if I was adhering directly to paper, and then just pushing those down and holding that in place, and then sticking down those others. So this one was direct to paper, so I decided to go with the tape runner, but then obviously the felt needs a little bit more to hold it in place. Could use glue dots as well, but I do have them, I just tend not to use them very often. And just adhering those last little embellishments down now. And then I do eventually come back to that love, where I include that as part of the title. So I grab that and add that to the sort of the title area. So the title ends up being Love Creative. And yeah, I think I don't use any of the cut apart sheets on this one. Although I do use this paper here, which is actually, again, quite a busy paper, but one that I wouldn't use on a background, but would be great to cut apart and use some of the phrases. So I'm just at the moment looking for phrases that will match the colour of the layout, and also the theme of the actual day, so including the creative sort of side of things. And I decided to go with the dark blue, and I think I choose a few different colours on this particular layout, just to add a little bit more interest to the page. I'm just choosing a second one there. I can't see what they say, so I can't tell you, but yeah, hopefully, you know, they're all about creativity basically. So the fact that she was creating something, and it was funny because they didn't know what they were creating. They just asked the kids to get in and start chipping away at this piece of aerated cement that was, you know, probably close to 6 foot high, and, you know, 2 feet by 2 feet. And then, you know, they just started digging away at it and making holes in it and chipping away at with different tools. And then at the end of the day, they were going to try and turn it into something based on what they had left after the kids had chipped away at it for half the day. So we spent about half an hour there that day. My kids were really having fun. I'd never seen it before, and yeah, they quite enjoyed the day. So just looking at cutting out some banner phrases there and deciding where they'll go. And this is one of the things I really like about the True Stories collection from Shimelle, is that there are quite a few cut apart sheets. So you can see I didn't really pull in too many expensive embellishments. The majority of the embellishments were done using the sheets that can be cut apart, and I find that it's quite a versatile paper pad that way, the 12 by 12, because you do have some nice background pieces, and you do have some nice pieces that you can cut into smaller pieces and create embellishments with. So a very inexpensive way to create some pages. And based on all the supplies that I showed you at the beginning of the video, I actually make 2 layouts on this. So it is quite versatile in the fact that I, you know, pulled out these list of supplies, and I end up making 2 separate layouts from this, which is fantastic. So I'm just trimming those down and yeah, adding those embellishments to the little spots that I've created, the 3 little spots. And then I think I chose a dark blue, sort of a light blue and a pink, and just decided where they would go based on the colours that were already within those embellishments. So just adding that last one and deciding where it should go. And yep, I think I commit to that now. Yep. And then I'm sort of thinking, you know, it looks a little bit bare at the top there, what can I do? And that's where I grab that last little embellishment and decide that it should go on the layout. I'm just figuring out exactly where, and then yeah, I will include that. And I use foam squares, and this time I use the ones with a bit more dimension, just to lift it right up off the page and highlight the fact that it, you know, it is becoming part of that that title there. So just deciding whereabouts it will go, whether it goes over the blue. I was sort of a bit worried that it was getting lost above the blue, but because it's got that gold foil behind it, I figured it could go sort of half on, half off. And yep, I decided that that's it. And yeah, then we go to the enamel dots. So I'm just about finished with this layout. I hope you enjoyed it, and please give it a thumbs up if you like it. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos, and please do comment and let me know whether you prefer the voiceovers or you prefer me to talk